on the back of this, it says Alton Oxner on the back of this, and it says he was perhaps the only listener who knew of Oswald's defection before the debate. That was because he knew Oswald. He knew him because we were involved in this project. And here it's actually an admission. How did he know about Lee Oswald before everybody else did? It's because he already met him. He was involved.
Judyth is, in addition to being an author, she's you can see a very talented artist. And she does oil paintings, one of which she brought here to display. And these are lithographs that she did in 1981.
I don't know. I've been fascinated with the JFK killing for a long, long time, and obviously seeing the documentary "The Men Who Killed Kennedy," the 8th episode, which has Judyth in it, a bit of a look behind the curtain as to how things really operate. So yeah, interesting stuff. Oh, I'm Rob.
Lee would have been 72 today, Tuesday, October 18th. Did not shoot JFK.
What?
The two Oswald.
Okay, here's the thing about the two Oswalds. Somebody thinks it's very clever to take everything that was ever said. See, Lee did have imposters, okay?
Right.
But they've collected every possible picture that anybody says, oh, I have a picture of Oswald. Oh, I have one. And they say, oh, there was this other one. You know. No, it's not that. It's that there are many imposters, many backgrounds. You're going to see it in here. He didn't mind it having imposters, and it was set up that way. And in fact, other agents have the same thing, doubles and so on. So when they come back from an assignment, it looks like they never left because these other people are doing things. That doesn't mean they were raised from childhood together. It's absurd. So, do you care about Kennedy? Care about the course. And that's why you're here, right?
Yes.
Okay, God bless you. And I'm writing Toronto in here because these are the first time I've been able to sign any books. Because I've had to live in secrecy.
I read your book over a year ago.
You did.
And I just can't buy another one because I left it out in BC. And I wanted to thank you for being so brave.
Come in. Please come here. Yes, we're going to talk in just a few minutes.
Yeah, I'm gonna just put some candles in the cake and then.
Okay, let's do
yeah,
that.
absolutely. Do you have a lighter? I need a lighter.
All right, everyone. Judyth is going to say a few words.
Oh, good.
That's amazing.
Lee Harvey Oswald was a hero, and you're going to find that out. Whereas they used to urinate on his grave, now they're starting to put roses there, as they have learned more and more about who he is. And I challenge all of you to go on the internet, and when it's November 24th, when he was murdered, you know, I just want you to spread the word about who he really was.
I'll be down in Dallas, Judyth. Yeah.
Great. Now we're going to sing
Well,
happy
not my
birthday
cake,
to
it's
Lee
our
Oswald.
cake.
This is his birthday party. He said he would never have another cake on October 24th. I mean,
Well,
October
we'll hold
18th.
it. This is a great photo op for anybody.
1963.
Okay, yeah.
And he cried. He said he would never have another cake. Here it is.
Happy
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lee. Happy birthday to you. All right, Judyth. And blow out the candles.
When I cut this cake, I'm going to cut those handcuffs.
Oh, that's a great idea.
You got it?
Beautiful.
Fantastic.
All right, here we go. All right. We're cutting those handcuffs off. God bless Lee Harvey Oswald, the one he did. And God bless all of you. Thank you.
Judyth, thanks for being here.
Yes.
Thanks
It's
so
about
much.
Lee, it's not about me.
Thanks, Judyth.
Yes. If you look at photographs, first of all, there are many photos. If you're a lone nut, you're not going to have anybody taking a picture of you. Secondly, if you look, unless he's been arrested and hit and bashed in the face, he's smiling. Next, you see his arm, women's arms around him. And you see him with co-workers in Russia, of all places, in Belarus and Minsk. And they're all around him. He's got these sunglasses on. He is playing James Bond. And he did it. He came back from the USSR after 3 years and did not get arrested with a Russian wife and child. That's impossible. Absolutely impossible. Then I was there, I was present when I met the man, Charles Thomas, one of our witnesses, okay? We have a whole family of witnesses there, who expedited Lee's passport. Imagine, he got a passport in 24 hours in New Orleans, where we had Castro people coming in and all that, spies and so on, where they were especially vigilant. He gets his passport in 24 hours because they flew a man in from customs to make sure, and that man processed not only his name was Arthur Young, that was an AKA, and a bunch of others, so it wouldn't be all by itself. What's interesting is that Lee had on that passport application that he would be going to Russia and places like that, and they pass it in 24 hours. Just think about that. So there's much, much more. It's in the book. It's going to fill in all the blanks for you. Okay? God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So I'm going to go back there and sign books for people.
Thank you so much. You're welcome.
Oliver Stone almost had his career ruined by the film JFK.
Right.
And he would like to do it again.
Did he know of your existence at that
Oh,
time?
yes, he knows.
He did.
Yeah, he does. And I've been encouraged and helped. Let me tell you, one film producer who wanted to make a film out of this found a dead baby floating in their pool. We have horrible things. They probably never be made in a movie because they intimidate them, and a lot of the mafia is still controlled. Jack Valenti, for heaven's sakes, was head of the Film Guild and all that.
Okay.
And he was LBJ's, I mean, they control.
Right,
Yeah.
of course, yeah.
So that's what goes on.
And I just got interested when I saw Loose Change and about 9/11 being an inside job.
They're related. It's all related. Look, those were the trademark buildings, remember?
Oh, yes.
World Trademark, and Kennedy was headed to the trademark when he was killed. They're all the same people.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're the same people.
Yeah, they are.
Well, all the best.
God bless you. Yes.
Have you ever talked to his two daughters? Do they appreciate you coming out?
Rachel has contacted me.
She has contacted you.
They stay neutral because I know things about Marina, and Marina was in a terrible position and had to say things about Lee that weren't true.
Anybody and everybody in the whole JFK community, whether they agree with it or not, it's got the whole fucking community buzzing.
Why did they find him in Clinton, Louisiana with Clay Shaw? What was he doing there? Why is he connected with the mental hospital in Jackson, for example? Things like that. But more than that, why did he say, again, that he was a patsy? And by the way, that he passed a voice stress analysis test, so he was telling the truth. You're last in line. Last is best.
It's just been mesmerizing me.
And you know what Dan Rather said, you know, he's out of breath. I've seen the Zapruder film, he says, where you could see the president's head thrown violently forward. And when he was, he said that. And then he said, you know what he said? If the first answer he had before the regulation when it came out, he said, I think I saw the film backwards.
Well, conspiracy theory was right.
This is not theory, though. This is
No,
real.
no. I don't.
No, it's okay.
Another one's the Warren Commission, so which is the
You know, Cass Sunstein, who works in the Obama administration, put out something saying that we must make sure that people who have anything that's against the government are called conspiracy theorists, and we must make sure that they get infiltrated and that we provide crazy, responses and things as if we support these people and act real crazy so nobody believes the core. In New Orleans, everybody was connected to each other. But I wasn't in Dealey Plaza, but I can tell you I knew Lee Oswald and he loved Kennedy.
Yeah, so
It's just awful.
well, I'm going to read the book and I'm going to love it.
Gonna get a bite of cake.
Thank you so much for doing this.
God bless you, dear.
Everybody had a fabulous day.
Your article in the Star, today's Star, it gives you a pretty good shot. This McAdams has his say about
Yeah.
but it balances out.
McAdams never met me.
She's the Rosetta Stone of Lee Harvey Oswald's murder. My feeling is innocent of shooting anybody that day, but was probably involved in some way in a government plan that I think he was lied to. So yeah, 60. I think it's 64. It's an original copy. She mentions it in her book. It's Dr. Oshner, who was at the Tulane University. He was also, I think, involved in the government in some way, with the CIA or whoever, disinformation, and then that's what they did with Lee Harvey Oswald to set him up as a patsy. And this is a broadcast on Dr. Oshner's owned radio station that Lee Harvey Oswald inadvertently went in and voiced his opinion on Marxism and being interviewed about communism and the American way, and they used it to justify his guilt. So she didn't have a copy, and she was very touched and moved by it, and I'm glad I was able to do that. I read it 2 weeks after it came out on Amazon. It was delayed, backordered for 9 months, and they gave me 3 notices if I wanted to cancel the order, and I said no. So, yeah, I read it 2 weeks after I got it. My name's Casper DeLine, and I've researched the JFK assassination for about 22 years.
Executive Action. Have you ever seen that?
Of course. And
what did you think about that?
Oh, I think it's pretty accurate in its own way. You have the right kind of people involved, your right-wing conservatives and so on. Another book called, I think it was called 7 Days in May, was actually authorized by President Kennedy. And of course also includes assassination scenario. Kennedy knew his life probably wouldn't last. It's so sad. What can I tell you? I'm on Facebook, like even dissidents who are in very dangerous areas even are on Facebook with a lot of safeguards. I am on Facebook, and Judyth Vary Baker. Also, a group has put together called Vindication for Judyth Vary Baker because I've been unfairly attacked. Can you imagine? I mean, they'll take things I've said, change them, and then when I try to correct them, they say I changed my story. Tell people about the real New Orleans and the real Lee Oswald.
I'm Jeffrey Holmes. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, 9th Ward. And I own a tour company, Strange True Tours. And every single day, I'm on the sidewalks of the French Quarter telling the story about Lee Harvey Oswald and the New Orleans Mafia. And I tell people, tourists, who did and who did not kill Kennedy. I don't know exactly. I mean, he was born there. He was there as a young child. His mother took him away. He returned as a teenager. In fact, I stand on the corner of Iberville and Exchange Place, just a half a block from where he lived as a teenager with his mom at 124 Exchange Place, and which is only a block away from Exchange Place and Canal Street, where he was passing out that pro-communist literature. That black and white film footage is so famous. Only in New Orleans could something like this actually happen. You've got a David Ferry working with Dr. Alton Ochsner, working with Dr. Sherman, who's working with Lee, who's working with the CIA, who's working with the mob. You can't make this shit up. Honestly, pardon my French, but it can't be done. Even politics in New Orleans to this very day is still the same thing. The whole story first came to me, a book called Mr. New Orleans. It's about the life of Frenchy Brûlé. He was a mobster in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. And he's still alive. He wrote this book in '09. And he is, I would call him a character witness, because he knew all the characters involved. He knew Oswald. He knew Ruby. He knew Marcella. Dean Andrews was a pill-popping alcoholic lawyer who crashed in his apartment half the damn time. That's how small the town is. So I found Mr. New Orleans, and then a buddy of mine who used to play cards with Carlos Marcella and knew the Marcella family very, very well, turned me on to Dr. Mary's Monkey, and then that's how I found out about me and Lee. And if you read the 3 books, you've got 3 different people from 3 different lives. You've got Frenchie, who was a mobster, Ed, who was a teenager in high school, and Judyth, who was doing her work in New Orleans, all at the same time. They never knew each other, but yet all 3 books, all 3 stories fit together so tight. There's no denying this. There really isn't. None of these people knew each other, but they all knew the same people. And all the stories come out to the same. Yeah. So Lee is innocent, guys. Lee didn't do it.
And in 1999, I told people Lee saved Kennedy's life. Nobody would believe me. Now I have more evidence keeps coming out.